Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Obstacles Opportunities podcast, where we discuss with several entrepreneurs and business-minded people and about how you can turn your obstacles, the things that appear to be obstacles, into opportunities for you and your business, and how to change your mindset into an opportunity magnet versus or an opportunity hunter, as my co-host here today, Jason Williford, just wrote this awesome book, The Ultimate Real Estate Machine. It was actually, I got all these little tabs here, Jay, because I'm going to share this stuff with my
that's awesome.
With my real estate team. I'm going to get everybody a copy. Where can we get it at actually right now? It's actually released, right?
Yes, it's released. It released November the 30th on Amazon, The Ultimate Real Estate Machine. It became a bestseller in the third day, I believe, second or third day, which they rank them like hourly, just being honest with your audience. So, but yeah, been having a lot of people interested in the book. So they can go there, but they can also go to platinumrealestatecoaching.com. And when they register there, they get over $1,200 worth of bonuses. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Whichever.
And I was introduced to you through Jay Abraham. I reached out to him. He connected us, and he helped you write this book as well. Correct? And it's pretty amazing. I was always a fan of Jay Abraham. I first heard of him was Anthony Robbins. I popped a cassette tape. It was called Power Talk back in probably 1997 in my Dodge 600. I think I had at the time. And
I love Tony too. I've done a lot of Tony's events. Like over $50,000 worth of just Tony events.
Yeah, I've done the similar ones that you did. I did the business. It was like that university was three things, like business
mastery,
business mastery. Yeah, and
yeah,
they were all pretty awesome. But going through your book, what I like about it the most is, and when I want to share it with my team, it's very easy to understand, read, and to get started. I mean, you pretty much give like a step-by-step instruction manual that I think everybody should get at a real estate school, because it's everything that you don't learn, but everything it's necessities in your business. I mean, the way I see it, I'm reading through it it all makes sense. Like it's all stuff that we kind of did through trial and error. If I had this 20 years ago when I started, I probably would have been gotten where I am a lot faster.
Yeah, and I just love preaching the truth. And what the truth is startling when you get down to the facts and get down to the data. You may have read that book, Good to Great, by Jim Collins, which is an amazing book. But that book was written just on pure factual data. And it took years and years to write that book because they had to do all the research to get the data. But here's the data that is not good for our industry. And the data is that per Business Wire, only 11% of consumers trust real estate agents. That's not good. And that's per a 2018 study. Another fact is per NAR's buyer-seller report is that I believe 2020, it was the gross income was 43,300 or something like that. It's 43,000 and some change with $5,300 worth of expenses, which brings the net profit to $38,000. And that's for a realtor. Then if you take realtors and folks that aren't realtors that are licensed, the real estate agents, it's probably right around 25,000 net income is what the average real estate agent produces, with over an 80% failure rate, that a first-year real estate agent will not make it to the second year. Those are just stats that I've known of for a while that are horrible stats. There's people that have dreams, hopes, aspirations of getting into real estate. You are a veteran. That's why everything seems, God, this just seems like everybody should know that. And they should, but everybody doesn't know what you know, brother. Or avid Jay Abraham fans, you've been doing this for a long, long time, and you know way more than the average bear knows. But I agree with you that what if, and it's not going to happen, but what if what if they made it mandatory that everyone before they visited with their first client, that they had to read the book and they had to take the 13 of the 15 chapters have massive action assignments within the chapters. What if they had to read the book and they had to take action and complete all of those 13 action assignments? I am a firm believer that those numbers would change if everyone had to do that.
100%. I was going through it. I was reading the massive action assignments, and they're all like very simple, very easy, very straightforward, and they make sense as you're reading them. And I'm like, wow, there was something you read earlier that I didn't know, but it was Henry Ford. He said he would sit down with somebody if they sat down and at a restaurant and put salt on their food before they tasted it, he wouldn't hire them because he knew they just didn't take proper steps to analyze and test theories before they just actually did it, which could lead to a catastrophic mistake.
They didn't do the research.
Yeah, so going through this, I kind of feel ignorant because those action assignments, wow, like if I did these, it just would have made life a lot easier. Like, they're like, yes, of course that works. Of course that works. Of course that works. And, it's just, so there are things that we're going to implement actually into our team and our training throughout to help get our guys more productive and make their life easier on top of it and be able to enjoy more time with their families.
Have you heard the Albert Einstein quote, John?
I just heard that like today. If you could refresh us on it, what you just said.
It's one of my favorites. And the book, I wrote the book with Jay because Jay has worked with, guys doing, billions of dollars worth of revenue. He speaks at a very, very high intellect. So I knew that I had to write it at a level and make it actionable. As Jay says, hey, it's not for your intellectual entertainment. The book was written for action takers. So to do so, Albert Einstein said that any fool can make things complex, but it takes a real genius to make things simple. And I'm not calling myself a genius, but that was my intent and my goal to make it an easy read that was actionable. And really, what is my mission for the real estate industry? Chapter number 4, the preeminent agent. What if preeminence at a high level, not at a generic level, but at a very high level, was distributed amongst the industry?
Yeah, it's funny.
It would change those horrible stats that we were talking about earlier.
100%. And it would even, if people, it would just change their whole mindset as they're running a business versus just being a realtor. Because you have to change your mindset, I think, to be successful, to run it as a business and not just as a realtor. We're just making a, nowadays, if the basics, people still teach the basic stuff like right out of school, like just build your sphere and just send postcards and all that. It's a totally different world, and you got to do what you said too. I agree, is be different than what everybody else is doing. If you're in a class of 30 people learning the same program, and all 30 people go out to do the same thing, I mean, what are your odds of being more successful than anybody else in the room? Slim to none, I think.
You're an innovator. I already know by you being an Abraham learner and a Tony Robbins learner, you're forever a grower. And I already know that you know to differentiate. And my little tagline that I like to use is we have to separate ourselves from the endless crowd of real estate agents. There's over 1.4 million real estate agents in the US alone. And if you're like everyone else, you're going to be a commodity, and you're going to have income like we mentioned earlier. And I think the average real estate transaction, what is it like? A transaction per year, like around 4.5 or 5 annual per year is what the average is.
Those numbers scare me. I can't imagine them on a career of those kind of numbers. Actually, when I got started, my first thing was, first question I would ask myself was, who's not being taken care of now in this market? Because when the market goes up and down, the certain type of clientele stick out as being, like when the market's hot and higher price stuff selling, all those medium type houses and stuff like that, nobody's going after them and catering to them. So we would try to just do things differently right away. That was always my first intention. My first instinct is who's not getting taken care of now. And there's a lot of people over there waving like, hey, I know that $500,000 house down the street is attractive, but there's 5 agents competing over that. So they're lowering their commissions, overpricing the house, and all these other people over here waiting. I'm like, how about if I sell 5 of those houses, those people that are dying to deal with me versus one of these ones. And then I get their family referrals. It could turn out to be 25 transactions versus one.
You're preeminent. You fall in love with the clients over your product and services, and you fall in love with the client. If I'm reading you right, and I think I am, but I may not be, but it seems like you're the type of guy that that you view your market, you view those people in your market as clients before they're even clients.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you for saying when you were at Jay's event, you had to Google preeminent, because I almost had to until you defined it as well.
Oh, I had to, for sure.
How did you get started in real estate? I know you say you're in commission sales your whole life. Did you take off right away in it? Did you love it? Was there a learning curve? Was it?
A very, no, to save your listeners some time, my very fast story was a story of adversity, and I'm just very open of my story. My father had a nervous breakdown. I was 8 years old. Things were tough there. I was homeless, living in my car when I was 18 years old. I was kicked out of my house that my stepfather, my mother lived in together. My stepfather was a state lieutenant, state trooper, is an ex Green Beret with the Army, pulled a gun on my mother. Thankfully, she ended up leaving the relationship, which hindsight's 2020. I'm sure, he had some issues psychologically with all the stuff he's seen in the military. So I didn't like him for a long, long time. And not that I like him now, but I do understand his psychology more because I do study human psychology, behavior, neurolinguistics, programming, etc. But going back to your question, and I tell that story because there may be someone listening right now that's going through a horrible spot in their life. I started commission sales in 1999. Commission sales saved my life, without a doubt. Start out selling vacation ownership, and this does relate back into how we can help the listeners as well. Start out selling vacation ownership, which is a sexy word for timeshare. Not the most glorifying industry per se, but I did learn from master closers. Some of the top, were making $300,000-$400,000 a year, selling on a sales force. There's, approximately, 40, 50 closers on the sales floor, every day. Learned a lot, being young, about sales and sales systems, about marketing, about generating leads. Thankfully, I didn't have to do all that stuff because the company was doing it. I had to close deals face to face is what I had to do when they had them in there. Then I went to work with the second largest remodeling, worked for a mortgage company and home improvement company that my uncle owned. So that's when I went to the remodeling industry. I learned a good bit about mortgages, obviously doing that, became a sales manager. Then I went to the second largest remodeling company in America. And what I learned there, I was first on the sales force, very high powered sales force. I was trained personally by the guy that's like the Tony Robbins of the remodeling industry. He's called the 91% man, being that 91% of the time that he was in front of someone face to face in a one call close scenario, he walked out with a signed agreement. So I learned a lot from him and a lot from that company, became a general manager with the company. And what I learned from that company, as Jay Abraham talks about, and how I'm tying this in here, is that if you try to be like everyone in your industry, again, as we mentioned earlier, you're going to be a commodity. But what I was able to do is pick and pull things that I've learned from other industries, like predictable selling systems, like call centers. I had 9 inside sales agents at my real estate firm in Atlanta at one time. But in the remodeling industry, I had 20 to 25 telemarketers, had 20 to 25 canvassers out knocking on doors. We spent anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 a month on big media marketing, TV, radio, billboards, yellow pages, etc. At the time. I had 20 to 25 highly trained, that I trained personally, 10-step selling system. Just one of those steps was company store and pledges, where they had to memorize verbatim 1,000. It was over 1,000 word script. They had to deliver it where it didn't sound like a script when they're done. So then going back to how to get started in real estate, Great Recession, crapped out. I learned a lot then, because it affected not only real estate agents, it affected everyone in the industry. I lost everything. Luckily, I had a second car that I would drive. That became my second car. Became my first car, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. The old second car became the first car. And I met up with my partner, which my life partner became my business partner. We met in 2009. In 2011, after dealing with several years worth of BS in the way that we were living at the time, which is, I don't know if you've ever had debt collectors like chasing you and all that stuff.
2008, same thing. There was no financing. Everything got pulled away from everybody.
Cars, behind on car payments, all that stuff. So November 2011 is when we drew the line in the sand and said we are over living how we're living, and it's time for us both to get back to work, because we've both been successful before the Great Recession, and we were still in the Great Recession. But hey, we're tired of dealing with this. So that's when we fired up. We grew an Inc. 500 company. We became the, per Inc. magazine, the 354th fastest growing privately held company in America. The next year we were 904. The next year we were 1345. So we did have year over year exponential growth within our company. I know I tried to give the abbreviated version, but that's my story.
Well, that's awesome. I thank you for sharing. I'm sure the way you said it so fast, I got it so quick, is the abridged version was, you've obviously had a lot of practice doing it. So you've been asked it a lot of times, but I'm sure it's going to be very inspiring to some people, some of our listeners that are listening. And sometimes I think that things are tough, especially coming out of COVID or there's going to be a lot of industries, I think, that changed dramatically. And this book, not only just for the real estate knowledge, but for any kind of business, I think this stuff helps. And dramatic. You can apply this to any kind of, because you were right. We're all in sales. The cashier at the supermarket, she's in sales. She has a bad look on her face that day or is angry. She did a bad sale, and that business will be affected by it. So
first in line.
And there's going to be opportunities that pop up now. This is an opportunity. If somebody had a regular job that their company closed or was changed, now they can jump into sales and do something and learn from the lessons.
Tony Robbins, Business Mastery. The one thing that's not the only thing, but one of the things that stuck with me the most is a mental model, and it's winter is my season. And what Tony, and that's been embedded in my brain, from all the chants and stuff that you do to change your mindset while you're at one of his events. Winter is my season doesn't just mean like seasonality curve. Obviously, in most markets across the US and Canada, things slow down during this time of year per seasonality curve. But what mostly he's talking about is economic and market downturns. Which, if you look at the trends nationally, when did we start recovering from the Great Recession? It was January 2012, doing the market research is when we started recovering. So if we looked at, hey, almost like 2 days from 10 years into that. Now, a lot of that was recovery, but we've been, and you mentioned earlier, hey, it's been a hot market. That's one thing that I think, and Jay brings it up a good biz, that, hey, it's just something that it's easy for real estate agents to get drunk off a hot market. You've been doing this a long time. You've seen the shifts happen. And I don't think anything catastrophic is going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't see anything catastrophic happening. But it's what I do see happening out there, because I know the best throughout North America, the top team leaders and all that, and top producers. But yeah, it's a little easy that, hey, it's me and my business has rocketed. Has it rocketed? And hopefully it has. Or are you riding a hot market?
Yeah, right. I think there's a lot of that going on. There's definitely going to be corrections, like you said. It just has to. It just doesn't. It's not sustainable. There's no backing behind it, and it's definitely going to change. There's 3 years of backed up shadow inventory. There hasn't been foreclosures in 3 years. That's going to affect the market. It's not going to be a major, because we're not expecting everything to get flooded all at once, and then there's going to be all kinds of stuff. But things do change fast with the internet and everything. People talking, so we could see it, but
very fast.
Yeah.
Which we need the inventory. Without it, I don't want it to harm people's lives, because I have been there. I've been through that personally. That's actually one of the biggest ways that we grew, my partner and I, as we focus on short sales. And we had that heart, we had that passion, because we'd both lost homes and we didn't want other people to do it. But I don't think a market like that is coming along. But one thing that Jay even says a lot is that there's always opportunity within adversity.
Yeah, 100%. It is an opportunity to help people too, and educate them now and how to
Amen.
those things. So, thanks again very much. I know you're a very busy man, and I know I appreciate you taking this time to do this with us. And again, everybody check out the book, The Ultimate Real Estate Machine, with Jay Abraham and Jason Williford, and you can get it on Amazon.com. It's fully out now, and it's an awesome read for anybody in business in general, but especially real estate agents getting started, or even the veterans that are there. I mean, I've been going through this thing, like I said, and it's not only easy to read, it's fun, and you're going to enjoy implementing these systems and stuff into your business, and these action plans, these massive action plans are going to help propel you to new heights. So thanks again. Jason,
thank you
very much. And I'll keep in touch and keep watching on social.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, brother.
Thank you. Again, have a great week.
Yes, sir. Have a wonderful week.
Happy New Year. Take care.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.